Next up, we talked a little bit about reaction, and I asked, what do you typically use your reaction for? Probably one of the most popular responses I got was forgetting about my reaction, so that prompted me to bring it into the newscast this week and talk a little bit about how the action economy actually works and what you want to keep in mind as combat is starting to progress around the table. Last week, we talked a little bit about always having a plan B in mind. So just a quick recap on that. As a player, when you're in combat, you always want to have an idea of what you want to do when your turn comes around, but always have a plan B in the pocket just in case the circumstances around your plan A change in an unforeseen way that force you in a position to react. Now, to segue from that, when we talk about the action economy, right? You have your movement, you have your action, you have a bonus action, and every character has a reaction per turn. That doesn't include the fifth unspoken element, which is your free action or little, let's say, narrative inclusions that don't necessarily take an action, reaction, bonus action, or movement to play out. So every character has an action, the most common action in combat being attack. It can be pull a lever, it might be a skill check. Typically taking a potion also costs an action as far as the rules are concerned. A lot of people house rule around that one, so check with your game master, of course. But reaction is something to keep in mind as well. And if you don't have an ability that specifically gives you a reaction, well, you've heard of holding your action. Holding your action actually uses your reaction to execute something specific with a trigger in mind. So if you say, I'm going to draw an arrow, aim it at the door, and as soon as that door opens, I'm going to fire, and that is your held action, well, that actually uses your reaction as far as the rules are concerned. Of course, disclaimer underneath, blah, 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 blah. But it's a great way to put reaction into play if you're not sure what you want to do when your action comes around. You don't want to hold up the table too. Otherwise, I typically would shy against, leveraging an action, which is extremely valuable, to turn it into a reaction because that doesn't really give you the best return value on what you can do in that moment. Now, as your character progresses, of course, you're going to get reactions that become available to you. Certain spells, certain abilities, and feats will allow you to do that. But always keep those reactions in mind. And if you need to, start a little sub-list on the side of your character sheet. Just call it reactions and list them out there where you usually look when you're in combat, like around your attacks table or your items and weapons table. There you go, reactions. Don't forget them. They're important. And maybe your DM might even let you use your reaction to do something a little bit more nuanced, like calling out a command or fumbling through your pack for something to help you when your next turn comes around. But play with it. Just don't leave them by the wayside because otherwise you're not really playing with the full action economy. Movement, action, bonus action, and reaction, and free action.